Hey, Fish Squad, this is just a quick video game analysis, post-game analysis I wanted to share with you um, in a 10-minute time control between myself and another expert. This guy was rated over 2,000. And, I'm sharing this with the Fish Squad because, interesting enough, we had I had an 85.6% accuracy, and my opponent had 73.9% accuracy. And chess.com, you know, with its descriptive one sentence evaluation, said that the game was intense. And I kind of want to speak to that a little bit and also highlight, both for you as well as for myself, critical moments in the game, and as things happen. And I want you to pay attention to the evaluation bar that's above me. All right, so let's take a look. We started off with e4, and you can see here the book indicators are shown that this is a book move. Nothing wrong with this book move. And by the way, for those who take lessons from me, I will say and continue to reiterate that control of the center is something that you should be focusing on. It doesn't matter how you get your control, what source of knowledge you use to learn how to control the center. The point is the same, whether it's a book, YouTube, a Twitch stream, a private coach, whomever. All openings focus on having some level of influence or control over these four center squares. So, okay, we're playing a basic opening. He's playing a Sicilian, nothing to see here. I'm going to play the Rossolimo with the idea of removing this knight and then hopefully making this light square bishop bad. That's my point and objective right now here on move 3. My idea is to capture his knight and then grossly restrict the movement of his light square bishop. Now let's watch how this happens in this particular opening. This is only available in this particular opening. All right, so we continue. He plays g6, which is actually my move. I play the same thing, and it's indicated by chess.com. It is a book move. I capture, also an indication of a book move. He captures, still a book move. You can capture either direction, by the way. And now I play h3, also a book move. And the idea, we've already talked about it, is I want to limit the direction of this light square bishop. I want you to pay very close attention to how this light square bishop is hindered in this game. All right, so we continue. Bishop g7, he's got to get his king safe, and why wouldn't you put your bishop on g7 if you've already fianchettoed your pawn structure? We continue, I castle. Notice that the symbol changes. Now we have moved down to, what is the computer calling this? An excellent move. This is not a book move. It's not a good move. It's an excellent move, and of which I had 12 of. And the thumbs up symbol is the excellent symbol. So this is something we're paying attention to for the first time as well. So we continue. He gets a star for this move. Best move in this position is to clamp down on the center, something that I've been talking about. Controlling the center is very important. All right, we continue. I get another excellent move. Reinforcing control. I don't have a light square bishop, so putting my pawns on the light squares is not a problem. However, I am trying to develop my dark square bishop to a diagonal that's going to be relevant. Let's see how we continue. He plays queen e7. And the idea behind queen e7 is he doesn't want me to capture this pawn when he develops his knight to f6. So he's broadcasting at this moment that, hey, I want to develop my knight to f6 and castle, or knight to e7 and castle. Either one of those, could make the center a little suspect. I think, maybe knight e7 also is an option, but whatever. I develop my bishop. Here we get a best move, strangely enough. And this move is interesting to me in that I normally don't play this move, bishop e3, but because of him playing queen e7, it made me want to make the queen a babysitter of these pawns. That was the first thing that jumped out at me. I know I made this move very quickly during the game, but seeing his queen on e7 says, hey, let me give that queen something to do by straddling, starting an attack on this pawn. So in my mind, I'm already thinking, okay, I'm going to start to pressure the dart squares. Right now, he has 2 dart square defenders, and, you know, that's going to be the point of my attack. So we continue. He reinforces control, also indicated by chess.com as an excellent move. Notice what it does for the light square bishop also. Pay close attention. I develop my knight towards the center. My idea is I might put my knight here and double up on this guy. You know, that's one of the reasons why I'm making this move. And again, also indicated as an excellent move by chess.com. Now he finally develops his knight. This move is given a best move. I slide my queen over. Again, another excellent move as indicated by chess.com. And I'm setting up some discoveries. And again, for my students, once you get your king safe, you should be doing things to try to prevent your opponent from castling. And if you cannot prevent your opponent from castling, you want their castle structure to be as weak as possible. So this move here, by me placing my queen and bishop on the same diagonal, is an indicator that I am going to try to unplug the dark square bishop, which is something that you should be seeking to do when black plays Sicilian dragon type structures. That's my opinion. All right, so we continue. He develops his light square bishop biting on granite. Strangely enough, computer and chess.com, whichever one you want to call it, call this an excellent move. I'm personally not so sure about this. This is one of the first moves that has been given an excellent grade that I don't necessarily agree with, but whatever. I personally would have castled. Now, let's see. I decide to ticket him. Notice he's getting all these best moves, and I'm only getting excellent moves. All right, so I'm double attacking this square, and I'm simultaneously opening up the potential attack on h6. So I'm expecting him to defend the pawn in the center of the board, which is only defended one time. So let's see how he does this. He retreats his knight. He gets an he gets a best move. Yeah, he gets a best move grade again. And now I decided to tickle him. I guess I could have just went directly with bishop h6, but I just wanted to see if he was going to push the pawn, because again, I'm trying to make it as uncomfortable and awkward for my opponent as possible. So he does push the pawn, and I'm a fan. Now look at this bishop biting on granite. Now, you know, some could argue that, hey, coach, your bishop is biting on granite also. I mean, what is your bishop going to be doing? And I would agree with you. You know, my bishop is equally as troubled. There's no good square for the bishop. So we both have 2 bad bishops. And I'm deciding that I'm going to trade that bishop off, because my bad bishop has nothing to do with the defense of my king, but his does. So if we remove his bad bishop, then what we have here is a big hole. This is a suspicious structure around this king, arguably unsafe. All right, so we continue. I just reinforce some control on the light squares. I don't want this bishop to be able to do anything. I know I'm going to move my knight, and I may eventually play c4 in the future. Eventually, maybe. Haven't decided. He slides his rook over. I'm not even sure what the idea is behind that, other than the possibility of creating a break here. I slide my knight around because I am a fan. I am a fan, guys, of not moving pawns randomly. I want you to pay very close attention to this. I tell this to my students all the time. Pay attention to when I make my pawn moves. Whether I'm teaching you in a lesson, or you casually watch me playing on stream, or you see my games in any other manner, pay attention to when I make my pawn moves. One of the things that I see with my students all the time is they end up with these weird pawn structures. I personally believe that you want to keep your pawns as tight and uniform as possible. That's my opinion. Just an opinion, stating it out here. All right, so we're going to continue. He retreats his knight. I guess that was the plan when he moved his rook over. He's going to try to plop his knight in here for an outpost or something. I don't know. You know, I strike out here. Now, we get this move. This is the first time we've seen this. It's called a good move. And my idea is to squeak in here and just annoy the king. There's nothing going on. I am looking at this square one time. He's defending it twice, but there's no real attack here. I'm just tickling him a little bit to see where he's going because he's not playing with all of his pieces. His bishop can't do anything. He just retreated his knight. His knight only has 2 squares that it can actually move on. His rooks can't really do anything. So I want to annoy him before he can figure out how to put his pieces on good squares. That's all I'm trying to do here. So the knight comes back towards the center. I hit him with a light little check. King has to retreat. And now I advance my knight. And strangely enough, again, this gets an excellent move. Now, I'm thinking about sacking, by the way. I put this knight here with the intent on I might sack on him. And I've said this to a student earlier today. If I can get 3 pawns for a piece, it's highly likely that I am going to capture. Not suggesting that you capture, but if it's anybody that's sitting on this side of the camera, they're probably going to take the piece. You know, I'm not afraid of playing with imbalances. So in my mind, if I'm able to play knight takes pawn, I'm probably going to go ahead and disintegrate all 3 of these pawns, you know, for this one piece sack. My opponent did not allow it. Now, interesting enough, the computer is evaluating this move as a mistake. I'm just seeing this for the first time, and I honestly don't even know why this is a mistake. Not sure why this is a mistake. So let me see what I did. I slid my rook over, and that's a mistake. So is there a way I can figure out? All right, so for the record, those are 2 mistakes. I slid my rook over. Apparently I missed something, and I don't know what that is yet. I'll leave it up to you guys to determine what the mistake was and how to take advantage of it. Please comment in the video below on what I should have done or how can I take advantage of the mistake. He retreats the bishop. This gets a good move. I move my king up because I'm planning to push this pawn and get this knight out of here, and I don't want him to be able to play knight takes h3. Also a good move. Queen slides over. He's very interested in trading now. I am protected already, so I'm going to go ahead and see if I can make this knight evacuate. So this also gets a excellent move evaluation. We continue, capture, capture. The king steps up and attacks my knight. I ignore him and play pawn takes. This also gets a best move evaluation. He captures my knight. And now this is a good move. I'm wondering if capturing would have been better. But all I'm trying to do is be provocative here. I know that the king is going to get open. Some would argue, hey, your king is open too. But I'm doing it with the context of being able to rapidly get my pieces over here. I already have my knight close to his king. The rook is going to join him very quickly. I don't think he's going to have time to solve these problems. So let's continue. He pushes the pawn. This is given an evaluation of inaccurate. I retreat. Excellent move. He randomly pushes a pawn on the other side, trying to activate the rook. Rooks belong on open files. He doesn't have any. So now I challenge. You know, this is an isolated pawn. Pay very close attention to how I move my pawns. This pawn is not doing anything for me. I'm trying to create some attacking lanes. His light square bishop is still trapped outside of the game. He cannot participate. That's why my pawns are on the light squares, and I did this at the very outset. Pay attention. So we continue. Still randomly pushing his A pawn. I don't care. Putting him in check. He captures with his king. Interesting enough, the computer evaluates this as excellent. I slide my rook over. I'm going to begin my attack, guys. Rooks belong on open files, and if you can't get on an open file, put your rook on a semi-open file. I will march my king out of the way, and everybody's going to be looking at this king. So he charges a pawn forward. I slide my rook over. He retreats. Computer says this is not a good move. I put my knight back in here. Computer says this move, however, is what is this? This is interesting, but the computer says it's an inaccuracy. This traditional chess nomenclature would say, actually, they would say this would be dubious. So dubious and inaccuracy, okay. Look for an opportunity to improve here. Maybe knight over here is what it was expecting. I don't know. But we continue. He slides the rook up. over. I check him. He moves back. I double my rooks. Got to be good. Look at the king, guys. Look at this sexy king in the box. This is where we want our king to be. Their king, not our king. I misspoke. We want their king to be extremely limited. And notice how his other pieces are going to have a long difficulty aiding and assisting this king. So we continue. He lifts his rook up. And by the way, if you look closely up here at this bar, it says I'm doing very well in this game, despite the fact that some of these grades that are coming move by move are a little bit interesting. I retreat my knight. It likes this move. Capture, capture. Now here, by the way, I did this on purpose. I left this pawn under attack for a reason. I was trying to get him to get his rook off of the 7th because I believe that rooks belong on open files, and when they get to open files, the 7th and 2nd is where they belong. So this rook actually is doing a lot. It has made it to the 7th, and then potentially this could be an open file. So I don't think that there's any stronger location for this A7 rook than where it is. So I'm trying to bait him a little bit by getting him to undo his good move. So that's why I captured there. Probably not something that I would recommend in a serious game, but at least you understand why I did it. All right, so we continue. So the computer gives us a mistake evaluation, and the computer wants us to play perfectly. Human nature said maybe I can trick this guy. Okay, we continue. All right, so he lifts his other rook up, gets a huge thumbs up, excellent move. Now I decide to push the pawn since you're not capturing, and if you were capturing, the 7th is protected, so I no longer have the opportunity, to take advantage of that. So I might as well save my pawn. We go forward. He challenges the pawn again. I decide to go down here and tickle the bishop. Computer does not like this move. Gives this a blunder. Comment in the comments below and tell me why this is a blunder. I'm not even going to go into it. Bishop moves out of the way, gets one question mark, turns into a mistake. Capture, all mistakes, and then another inaccuracy. Still winning, by the way, but an inaccuracy that he doesn't like. A blunder. I'm sorry, not a blunder, a mistake. Capture, capture, capture. All this is bad, the computer says. Double question mark, blunder, capture, double the rooks up. I'm again focusing on trying to checkmate this guy because in my mind, rook here check, and then rook here is going to be something like mate. That's what's in my mind now. I didn't do a whole lot of math here, but I just don't see how he's escaping if I'm allowed to do this. So he steps his king up. I now tickle the bishop a little bit, and the idea is I'm going to want to walk over here at the right time. So he retreats. I check him. He steps. I step, and now the king has no moves. The king is back in the box. No move. So now I got to waste some time here in order to figure out what's going to happen with these rooks, which are the only defenders of the mate. All right, so let's see what happens. He slides over. King can't move, so I'm not worried about any discoveries. So I challenge his rook, and I'm challenging his rook in the context of I don't want this rook on A7 moving around freely. So I said, let me challenge his rook so that the A7 rook can't move. All right, so he takes the pawn. Now I capture, because the idea was if I simply just take this, now he's moving with check and all this other kind of shenanigans. No, I'm going to change the move order. I'm going to take your rook first. You have to get out of check, and now I'm going to take this free bishop. He slides over. I get out of the way. Now I'm just up a piece. I have a clear pass pawn. Everything should be fine. Notice the bar at the top. Strangely enough, I'm still winning, but the computer seems to believe that black has chances. I'm not a fan. We go forward. King walks forward for some dubious reason. I'm just going to shove the pawn. Computer doesn't like it. And then he goes crazy. Well, I was a fan of this move because I knew that I was going to be able to walk up. He can't do everything. Even if he gets this pawn push, my king moving towards the center is going to be an advantage. He does push. I walk up. He can't check me without losing a pawn, and he needs these pawns working together. We continue. He slides the rook over there for some random reason. I check him. That's going to lose material. If he goes this way, he can't go this way, right? Can't stay here. He's got to walk away from the pawn, which means that pawn is sleeping with the fishes. He does. I capture. We don't care about check because I get to take another pawn. He protects that pawn. I just keep shoving. Shove on. He's got to come here in order to stop me from queening. He does. I hit him with a light check. King steps down. I come back and protect my pawn because I do want to move my knight. He comes back. I get my king closer to him. Pushing the pawn for the discovery is dubious. He pushes his pawn, cutting off more squares for the king. I blockade the isolated pawn, guys. This is a concept that I tell my students all the time. When you're preparing to capture a isolated pawn, blockade the pawn first so that he can't leave. All right, so that's what this is doing. Randomly moving his rook here. And by the way, my knight was tempoing his rook, but this rook move is a little sus because he doesn't have a check deck here. So his rook he's cost himself some squares with this rook move. All right, so I grab my pawn. King steps forward. I guess he's going to try to queen or something. He can't get out, so queening is a little sus. I hit him with a light check. King steps down. And now I cut off communication from my pawn so that I can queen. He captures, I capture. He gets out of the way. I push my pawn. He pushes. Now, mind you, I can always put my knight here and take his little silly pawn. He's never queening. Don't mistake it. I can also go a different route, knight here and then knight here, and check him, you know, and eat whatever I want. But none of that is necessary. I'm just simply going to queen. He pushes the pawn. Say hello to my little friend. You step away from the pawn, I can take it. But also, if you're stepping this way, you're stepping closer to a mating net. You can't even go to that square, but you're stepping closer to a mating net. He does step into the mating box. I hit him with a light check. He steps forward, hit him with another light check. What is this move? Why is it, I don't know what this symbol means, and it's not showing up on the legend. So what I need for you guys, maybe that's the end of the game symbol, because the game did end right here. Okay, I haven't noticed that. So this may be the end of game symbol, and then it's got the resignation symbol. So we have 3 symbols on the board at this point. So anyway, I just wanted to show you guys the gameplay. 85.6% accuracy versus 73.9% accuracy against another expert. And I didn't feel like I was really in trouble at any point during this game. I felt quite comfortable despite the evaluations from the computer and chess.com. It's saying right in this area was some of the low points of the game. But again, I feel quite comfortable with the moves that I was making. I never felt like I was in danger. Maybe it takes a computer to beat me in this situation, but a human, I felt like I was doing okay. And I think that was the point of me even making this video, is to show you, you don't have to play 110% like a computer and still play well. All right, so with that said, I'm going to sign off. Thank you all. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment on these videos.